Okay, guys, that's an absolutely gigantic number and definitely higher than I actually ever really perceived it could be. All right, so we were definitely stuck at about 245% tariff on China, basically nationwide type of thing. But now the White House is basically saying 3,521% tariff specifically on solar panels. But that, listen, that's a lot higher than I ever thought it would ever get, guys. But either way, let's go and jump to this video immediately. This is a suggestion via Discord.
今天，美国宣布对来自于东南
Today, the U.S. announced new tariffs on solar panels from 3 Southeast Asian countries, as high as 3,521%. You heard that right. Yep. 3,521. Is this number strong enough for you? The countries involved are Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand. This means there's no chance for China's solar re-export trade.
Some social media users reacted. It's so accurate. Over 95% of solar panels in Southeast Asia are for re-export to China. They're the ones who made the agreements with China. Didn't people say they weren't afraid of the tariff war and were promoting re-export trade? Others joked sarcastically. Isn't the government encouraging turning export into domestic sales? Well, let's announce that all solar panels used for over 30 days should be replaced immediately. I'll do it too. Throw the old one off the roof, but avoid hitting anyone.
It's just crazy. The final tariff is much higher than the initial one, clearly aiming to block the export of solar products from these Southeast Asian countries.
Yes.
It's ruthless. These 4 countries currently supply about 77% of the solar components to the US. And last year, their solar exports totaled $12.9 billion US. This means the solar industries in these Southeast Asian countries are basically done for. Meanwhile, Laos and Indonesia's export opportunities will become even more important.
On April 21st, the U.S. announced the final results of a year-long trade investigation. The investigation found that solar manufacturers in Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand unfairly benefited from government subsidies and sold products to the U.S. below production costs. The U.S. Department of Commerce stated that because Cambodian manufacturers refused to cooperate with the investigation, Cambodian solar products would face tariffs as high as 3,521%. Certain Vietnamese companies would face tariffs up to 395.9%,
right.
Those in Thailand at 375.2%, and Malaysia's national tariff rate would be 34.4%.
Okay. Yeah, guys, we're looking at unfair business practices, right? I mean, and it is what it is in its context. Like, for example, if they are receiving some type of subsidy to run their company, and then there's someone absolutely benefiting from that specific company, and then you're undercutting everyone else, yeah, bro, this is why you're getting hit with this. And the whole concept of re-export, right? The whole concept of like moving some of the exported goods, specifically for like domestic use that China is looking to do, that's actually intelligent. But again, yeah, how are you going to sell that? Right? I mean, you just don't want to waste the product, obviously, but how are you going to sell it knowing specifically that the people that would be purchasing it are making, a lot less than 2,000 yuan? How is that a thing? It doesn't make any sense, guys.
The day after the tariff announcement, Cambodian media reported that the government would amend laws to prevent country of origin laundering of Chinese products to avoid the 49% tariff.
Now they can't.
Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet stated, "We won't take sides between the U.S. and China."
You need to.
U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer said that the U.S. cannot let countries shift from one jurisdiction to another to avoid tariffs, and that loopholes must be closed. For example, China may ship parts to Vietnam, where they're assembled, and then claim that the products are made in Vietnam. He said the U.S. will broadly enforce applicable tariffs to prevent this behavior. Some social media users pointed out that solar products are of strategic importance to the Chinese government, and Cambodia is an important overseas production base for Chinese solar equipment. Trump's special tariffs on Chinese solar products are a precise strike, just like the earlier crackdown on Huawei. Former U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned in 2024 that China was dumping excess production capacities to the world. This referred to China's recent 3 new exports that they're proud of: electric vehicles, solar panels, and lithium batteries.
Guys, can't lie. We definitely need some, Chinese EVs, if they were to come to the United States of America, they would completely wreck our entire industry because they basically prove a point here. Right? They have the ability to basically produce an entire vehicle and actually market it for like $9,000 to $10,000. Okay, versus all the other companies who are now in the United States of America selling cars for over truck over $100,000. Since when did a work truck mean that it was going to immediately be over $100,000, guys? Since when? Why are there pickup trucks at $150,000? Explain that. But either way, Chinese EVs would come to our market and completely destroy it in like day one because everyone would buy these. And they're not like any worse than the current model Teslas in terms of build quality. Let's just be honest here. I'd rather be honest. Okay, so, and they have the same, overall longevity. They're still using the same EV grade batteries and things, guys. So there's an issue here. It would be smart, but it would wreck our market. So let's not do that. I'm just giving you a hypothetical if it was to exist.
In the face of China's sluggish economic recovery and weak consumer demand, Chinese authorities hope to boost exports to stimulate economic growth. Chinese Premier Li Qiang emphasized that in 2023, exports of these three new products grew by nearly 30%. A confidential document from 2021 revealed the state of clean energy, like solar panels in China, hinting that the Chinese government was luring the U.S. into a new energy arms race, with solar being a key part of the plan. Photovoltaic, PV, is short for photovoltage, referring to the photovoltaic effect in semiconductor materials that directly converts solar radiation into electrical energy. Solar energy is one of the most important components of green energy. China is the largest renewable energy market and equipment manufacturer globally. Its photovoltaic industry holds a dominant position worldwide, with 7 of the top 10 companies in the global PV component ranking being Chinese. The industry supplies more than 70% of the components for the global market. Commentator Li Lingyi believes the CCP's subsidy policy for the photovoltaic industry is part of its usual strategy. First, it supports a large industry with subsidies, then squeezes out almost all competitors worldwide, making the world reliant on a supply chain controlled by the CCP.
This is exactly what they have been doing for like the last 40 years.
Finally, after monopolizing the market, they raise prices and make huge profits or use this to gain political leverage. It's worth noting that the green energy considered politically correct today focuses on results over process. This approach promotes the benefits of renewable energy for green and environmental protection, while ignoring or avoiding the heavy pollution and energy consumption involved in the manufacturing of these products.
Exactly. Like, just because you think you're getting some type of EV, just understand the amount of energy that was actually used to create the entirety of said EV. Again, guys, 1 gallon of gas is equivalent to about 33 kilowatts of power, guys. All right. So imagine how much of that was actually used to produce this. All right, so you're running at kind of a net negative on on some of these vehicles.
The massive hidden pollution cost of industries like photovoltaics is also one of the key reasons why China has become the world's leading green energy manufacturing country. Some online users have pointed out that China, with the world's largest market and factories, can dominate competitors in the photovoltaic and new energy industries in terms of cost and scale. This energy competition is an arms race more important than semiconductors. If the U.S. is dragged into this arms race where it does not have an advantage, it will not only pay a heavy economic price, but could also lose the war due to environmental pollution costs. Right. On the other hand, if the U.S. opens its market and allows China's photovoltaic equipment to dominate the U.S., it will face a very dangerous situation.
Yeah, because then we'll be completely reliant on them exclusively. This is how they're trying to, this is not how they're trying to. This is how they legitimately take over a lot of third world countries.
For example, the notorious surveillance giant Huawei has long been involved in the photovoltaic industry, growing into a leader in photovoltaic inverters with CCP support. It has ranked number 1 in the world for consecutive years. Unlike in smartphones, telecommunications, and electric vehicles, Huawei has been very low-key and secretive in the photovoltaic field. Before the CCP's global dominance of photovoltaic equipment, Huawei was reluctant to expose its role in the photovoltaic industry. Some online users have said that Trump's tariffs on the 4 Southeast Asian countries are clearly a strategic move, targeting the CCP's photovoltaic industry. Trump's current strategy is to avoid falling into this trap, neither competing with the CCP in photovoltaics nor allowing the CCP's equipment to enter the U.S. This will also ruin the CCP's new energy strategy, which has been carefully planned over the years, along with the massive investments all falling apart in one fell swoop. According to reports, due to the continued economic downturn and severe internal competition, 39 out of 121 listed Chinese photovoltaic companies experienced net profit losses in the first 3 quarters of 2024. Among
Yeah, but it's fine if the government is subsidizing
the
it.
15 leading companies in the industry chain, 12 reported losses, and 11 saw a drop in net profit of over 100%. Meanwhile, the prices in each segment of the photovoltaic industry chain have decreased by 60 to 80% compared to the 2023 peak.
Guys, then I said earlier in a video here that the cost of this has absolutely fallen. Like, you can buy now like gigantic amount of solar generators, etc., for basically pennies, not pennies on a dollar, at least half. No, pennies on a dollar. Like, I would say, yeah, pennies on a dollar. Because I just had to recently get one for my I'm building like an off-road, off-grid like camper setup right now. And I had to go literally get like a couple of power stations and had to run solar and all these other things here recently. And the cost of these products, like every single one of them had like a $2,000 coupon on it on Amazon. Just understand, like it's crazy how cheap they're getting, guys. It's scary. And why is this? Because China's flooding the market.
Several top photovoltaic companies have been accused of breaking through their cash costs, triggering U.S. investigations for dumping low-priced products.
Yeah.
While facing significant losses, China's photovoltaic industry also saw a major decline in exports in 2024. Data shows that the total export value of photovoltaic products was approximately $32.02 billion US dollars,
Okay.
a year-on-year decrease of 33.9%. The main reason for this sharp decline is the rapid drop in product prices.
Yep.
Polycrystalline silicon prices fell by more than 39%. Silicon wafer prices dropped over 50%, and solar cell prices fell by over 30%. Once considered a key
Supply and
strategic
demand.
weapon by the CCP, the photovoltaic industry is now in a precarious situation. In this critical moment, Trump's precise strike has arrived, completely closing off the route for the CCP's photovoltaic re-export trade. Recently, foreign trade professionals in China have been suffering under the heavy burden of tariffs, desperately trying to save themselves. Some are discussing how to lower prices for domestic sales, others are directly selling online, and some are even live streaming sales at ports. However, the most discussed topic is shifting production lines for re-export, as re-export seems to be the only opportunity for China's foreign traders. But after Trump announced a 3,521% tariff on Cambodia, some netizens immediately warned that re-export trade is no longer viable.
No, it's done.
商务部预警，东南亚多国严查原产地证。
The Ministry of Commerce recently issued a warning, stating that countries like Vietnam and Thailand are tightening checks on counterfeit certificates of origin.
They need to.
Vietnam's
consistently.
Ministry of Industry and Trade has required companies to strengthen raw material traceability to prevent export issues due to origin problems.
Yeah, guys, because the United States of America basically went at them pretty hard, Vietnam specifically. They've also came to the table basically saying that if they would rather choose us than China, basically. All right, like if you want the world to be moderately secure, you need to have the United States of America kind of in your corner. So if we stop allowing China to basically use our port for the concept of origin laundering, then maybe, just maybe, the United States of America would start to lower some of their tariffs. But unfortunately, or fortunately, that's still not happening, because the problem is that we cannot trust that system like 100%. And until we can, then I'm not sure that we should actually kind of get to the point where we're looking to lower the tariffs specifically on Vietnam or Cambodia, because again, even up until 2018, 2019, China specifically was moving like a lot of their manufacturing to Cambodia exclusively to then, re-import or re-export, let's say, directly to the United States of America, undercutting some loopholes, guys.
Thailand has also strictly tightened the review of certificates of origin for 42 types of products, such as aluminum film and electric bicycles, to combat attempts to evade U.S. and European tariffs.
And EVs also
The U.S.
dropped.
is also planning to
EV
introduce
bikes.
a global goods tracking system and stronger
E-bikes.
trade enforcement legislation to implement joint
Have
penalties for re-export trade. Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand have been listed as the first batch of monitored countries, with export companies needing to ensure the traceability of raw materials, comply with international trade risks, and avoid high fines or trade restrictions. We've seen many reports recently suggesting that re-export trade is no longer feasible. We've also heard from colleagues in Canada and Mexico saying the same.
Comments from netizens have been somewhat surprising. Just a few days ago, some people were promoting that re-export trade in Southeast Asia would explode. Regardless of whether the news is good or bad, if it's true, just give it a like. To further explain the actions taken in the tariff war, President Trump posted on Truth Social on April 20th, listing 8 common tactics the CCP uses to circumvent tariff penalties, including manipulating exchange rates, replacing tariffs with value-added tax subsidizing exports, dumping products below cost, state subsidies, creating trade barriers under the guise of agricultural standards, like the EU banning genetically modified corn, technical standard barriers, like Japan misusing bowling ball tests, mass counterfeiting, piracy, and intellectual property theft, transshipment through third countries to evade tariffs. Transshipment refers to China's strategy of rerouting exports through third countries to avoid high tariffs. The Financial Times recently reported that a Temu seller based in Guangzhou is setting up factories overseas, including establishing a final processing point in Jordan before exporting products to the U.S. Nicholas Lardy, an expert on Chinese economic and trade policies, previously told Newsweek that there are many tricks in China's export operations. They might use a Jordanian as a front person, while the company responsible for exports to the U.S. may actually be fully owned by Chinese capital.
Okay, guys. If you guys want to see the rest of that video, I'll go ahead and put the link in the comments here. But here's the thing. That's not something that's irregular, and that's kind of what I expected to be happening here. You could basically go into any like extremely impoverished country on earth right now, all right, and say, hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and give you 3-4 times your yearly income. I'm going to give that to you every single month, all right? And they will take that deal and they'll say, listen, okay, what do I need to do? I'll be a proxy for your company in your country. And just basically you send me things that are half finished or like 1/3 of the way finished. You bring some of your employees specifically from your country to this country. They will then work and finish the, installation or not installation, the finish the manufacturing process, right? And then we'll send them from here. That's exactly what they're going to do. There are going to be a lot of people in a lot of like third world countries that are going to take this deal because you have to take this deal. Okay, you have to. So the fact that they're using Jordan, it doesn't even sound crazy to me, bro. That's exactly what they're going to do. They're always going to look for a way to get around it. Or they may even send someone from their country into another country and they'll lead it. Look at a good amount of the countries in Africa, okay? And you'll start to realize that China has been doing this since, the early 2000s. You'll realize instantly. Like they will literally send someone there to do the entire manufacturing with locals and teach them how to do it, right? While the company is still a Chinese ran company from, I don't know, insert African nation. Okay, that's basically what they do. They've been doing this. It's not brand new information. So of course, 3,521% tariffs. Okay, guys. Either way, listen. You guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, and I'll catch you guys later.